Hello, I'll be right with you. Maybe. Okay, apparently it's possible I have been using my old phone as a way to do my videos, using it as the camera because they were only going to give me $27 for it on a trade-in, and that hardly seemed worth the effort. So I've been using that, and now it is, let me turn that down a bit, it wasn't letting me use it. So I know that Apple is no longer supporting the iPhone 6, which is what I had. So apparently the software is not working or whatever, so I may have to start using my new phone. And I'm truly hoping that I remembered to put it in Do Not Disturb mode. I'm glad that no one called 911 because I'm just fine. All of a sudden I thought, oh, I shouldn't have made that joke because now it's 4:45 and someone's going to be calling. All right, I'm just, I'm using my iPad as well because my computer is also not behaving very nicely. And so far, I'm not seeing me here, but I believe that I'm here. So, yep, I just saw a thumbs up, so I assume that means I'm here. All right, well, I'll give it another couple of minutes and maybe I'll pop up and maybe I won't. Who knows? All right, so today we're going to be working with the new Color and Contour stamp set, which comes with some beautiful dies, and I know I've showed those to you already. At least I think I have. And I don't think I'm going to play with the dies today just because on Saturday I'm doing a whole thing on the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and I think I would just as soon wait until then to play with dies, if that makes sense. Hi, Amy. I'm glad you're watching, which means I assume that you can see me, even though I can't see me. And as soon as I put the camera down, I won't be able to see a darn thing. But my iPad is not refreshing itself, or whatever you call it on an iPad. I don't know. Okay, I'm just not even going to worry about it. So when I put the camera down, I'm not sure what you're going to see because my desk is a bit of a hot mess. And I had a bunch of things to show you that I usually put off to the side and get out of the way, but I haven't done a real good job of that either. So we're just going for it, okay? This is called a little bit of, flying by the seat of your pants. All right, so putting the camera down now. Hang on to your hats. Okay. And okay, and okay. Maybe. Okay. I didn't want to do that either. All right. I'm just going to pick up my iPad and bring it closer to me so that I can look at it. All right, so I am Roberta Colasino, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. And I am coming to you live today with the Color and Contour set from the new catalog. And I don't even know if I marked that down as one of my top favorites. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. Maybe I didn't think of it because I already had it. Who knows? But it's a pretty cool set, and I like it again. And I think I recall saying that this was one of those sets that really, although it might look like it, because it could be very good for a beginner, because it's got that whole watercolor thing where nothing needs to look perfect. What I did find out when I started playing with it was that it was so not perfect that I almost had trouble figuring it out, if that makes any sense at all. And I will be happy to show you what I was talking about. All right, so another quick congratulations to last night's winner of the Prize Patrol, and another apology from me because I was all prepared to have a margarita tonight, and I suppose I could have made a virgin margarita, but I haven't had anything to eat since early this morning, and I thought adding tequila to an empty stomach and then trying to do crafts while handling sharp scissors in front of people just might not be the best idea. But happy Cinco de Mayo to everyone. And Cinco de Mayo is one of my favorite holidays, probably for all the wrong reasons in terms of what it really is intended to celebrate. But I love Spanish, Mexican food, that type of food. I love margaritas. My daughter and I each make empanadas. We make pretty good empanadas, I have to say. And I enjoy sharing those with people. And so I wanted to have a little margarita with you today, but I guess it wasn't in the cards. All right, so yeah, I'm still not showing up on my iPad. I don't know why. Maybe I'll go out and come in again, you know, who knows. So this paper set I wanted to show you because I showed it a little bit last night, and it's pretty cool. And one of the things that I wanted to share with you guys is that not every stamp set has coordinating designer series paper, obviously, because we have hundreds of stamp sets and we couldn't have that much paper. So sometimes you're working with a stamp set like this and maybe you want some type of background, and you know, because I've showed you that you can make your own, but a set like this, which unfortunately is a host set, so you can't just buy it, you have to get it as a host, can be that set. And I'm purposely showing you the back side of these because the back side of them is mostly black and white, and even some of the front sides are you know, like tone on tone like that one. So these would make a great background for a stamp set that doesn't have its own coordinating designer series paper, and anything similar. And this would be, that's kind of cutesy, you know, but on the back it's just black and white stripes. You can't go wrong with that. And if you're looking for things for masculine cards, they're great. So this is a great paper to have, and if you and a friend would like to go in and have some type of a party or a workshop, virtual or otherwise, let me know, because you could possibly share this pack of paper, because as I said last night, it has 48 pieces of paper in it, so there's plenty to go around. The other thing that I would share that is especially good if you don't have a coordinating designer series paper are the color family DSPs. So there's one for each of the two in color sets, and then there's one for the neutrals, the brights, brights, regals, and subtles. All right, and they always have these, and they'll come out typically with 2 a year. They'll come out with 1 every year, but that means that the in colors get a new one every year. I think I finally said that right. So for each color, this is the Evening Evergreen. There are 4 patterns. So you've got that pattern, and then you've got that one and that one. And they tend to be pretty neutral patterns as well. All right, and so far I've only received the new in colors, but I've ordered all of them. And if anyone would be interested in doing a paper sampler or a paper share where you would get a few of all of these, please let me know and I will give you a price on that and we'll work that out. So today I thought I would work with the Pale Papaya, which is one of the new in colors. As strange as this sounds, I meant to bring a piece of cantaloupe upstairs with me when I came up, because it's my belief that this color is very similar to a ripe cantaloupe. So people were thinking it was a yellow, and it's really definitely more in the orange family, but it's a pale orange. And I decided that it looked like cantaloupe. So maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. And I have that for a card base, and then a layer of the basic white will go over that, and then another layer here, which clearly I have to cut down a little bit. I think I was torn between cutting it down as a full layer or maybe just using a partial sheet of it, and I hadn't quite made up my mind yet. And then I took some of the large single flower and I cut those out. And this is where that thing that I was just telling you about them being so wonky that it's kind of hard to figure out. I ended up fussy cutting these because I turned the die around so many times that I was about to scream, and just decided that I would be happier fussy cutting them. I don't blame the dies. I'm sure that I was being impatient. All right, well, you know, I'm just not still seeing myself. So, and that means that I can't see comments because the camera's turned down unless I hang upside down in the camera, which probably won't be a pretty view for you. So by all means, let me know some way. If someone's got my phone number, they could always text me and let me know if something's wrong. If not, I'll just assume that everything's okay, even though I can't see anything. But I'm not sure why I can't see myself. All right, some days not seeing yourself isn't necessarily a bad thing. So, like I said, I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants today, and I'll be very honest with you, the reason that I was late today was totally my fault. I had a couple of errands to run. I was trying to keep an eye on the time. I had to stop at the grocery store and pick up a few things. It was just really urgent, and I still had plenty of time. Then I ended up waiting in line at the pharmacy for one of those over-the-counter allergy medications that you have to provide your driver's license and sign your life away to get because they think you might know how to make some kind of horrible drug out of them. So that held me up, and then I ran into a friend in the aisles that I haven't seen in ages, and we chatted, and then I told her I really had to go because I was going to be on Facebook Live at 4 o'clock, and she said, Roberta, that's in 10 minutes. So from that point, I kind of ran. I did have to go through the checkout just because they don't really like it if you leave without paying for your things. Just kind of a silly thing the stores have. Silly rule, right? All right. So I do need to cut this down a little bit. And I think I have decided, so if this card base is 5.5 by 4.25, which it is, then this is 5.25 by 4. So I need to make this one 5 inches long, but I don't think I want to use the whole thing. I think that's just a little too much. So yeah, 5 is right, and I think I'll just kind of cut that. Yeah, I think I'm going to cut it at 2 inches. All right, and just use a part of that. So that's what I'm thinking. The other color that I got out to use is also a new in color, and that is the Soft Succulent. And this is a very pretty soft color. I don't know, I might call it a light moss type of a color if I'm trying to, you know, use colors that you might be more familiar with, because I know no matter what you do, none of these colors really look like what they are except in person. You know, even on video, they don't look the same. Photographs, they don't look the same, even in the catalog. And they have professional photographers. Even there, they don't look the same. So I'm going to glue this on, and I want to try to make sure that I'm in frame, and usually if I stick to the middle of my area here, that's good. Yeah, I don't know how you guys are seeing me, and I'm not. So I just checked my other phone as well, and that's not doing anything either. Oh, wait a minute. There's a funny white blob in the middle of my... Nope, that's not me either. Yeah, I don't know. All right, I'm just going to let it go. Trying to decide which side I like better. Maybe this one is a little less, I don't know, less obvious, I guess. More subtle. Put that on there, and you might see, you know, one of these days I will get myself a camera or some type of software that does zooming in, but you know, I'm just kind of not there yet to spend that kind of money. I made myself a budget for things like tripods and tech equipment and whatnot, and I've actually stuck to that budget far better than I stick to my budget regarding the use of, or the purchase of supplies and, you know, pretty things. I have a very hard time saying no to pretty things. All right. Oh, sorry, reaching for my dimensionals, because we must have dimensionals. So I've got those laid out. So here's the only other thing about this set is that they don't have a stem per se that belongs to this flower. I suppose that these could somehow get added to that, but I don't really think I like that. So I think they're just going to sort of float. And then they have this bud, and they have a little watercolor swatch to go with the bud, and they have the watercolor swatch to go with this, and the watercolor swatch to go with this, but they don't have any watercolor swatch to go with that leaf. I'm not sure why. And I did not get the new blends yet because, you know, you can't get everything. I keep telling myself that. Oh, I got excited. I thought I saw myself, but I was wearing yesterday's clothes, so I guess that's not what I want. Okay, so I think I should probably stamp first and then put the flowers on with the dimensionals. That's what I'm thinking. And I think, doing lots of thinking here, you notice? All right, I think I kind of want them like that for this. So, but I need to decide what sentiment I'm going to use. You're absolutely amazing. I actually know some amazing people. I do, and I think that's a good one. I like that. That's a very nice thing to say to somebody, to tell them they're absolutely amazing. Of course, I know that that could be used in a positive connotation or a negative connotation, I guess. But this was meant in a positive connotation. All right. So, okay, that is upside down and backwards, I guess. Okay. So thank you to Cheryl and Amy for telling me to breathe, because I did breathe. I literally jogged through the parking lot at the grocery store pushing my shopping cart, which made me laugh because I'm so not a jogger. And it did catch some attention from a few people who probably said, look at that old lady running. Anyway, so, you know, I want to stamp this on a piece of scrap paper first because I haven't used this leaf yet and I just don't know what it looks like. I think I want to take a look at it and just see. Okay, so it's kind of like a leaf and then a swoosh. I don't know what you call that. A part of a leaf that could be hidden under something. Yeah, I don't know, it's a little unusual, isn't it? Not quite sure what to make of that. Okay, no matter. So obviously this is without a doubt one of those abstract kind of things. At least I'm viewing it that way. I thought having the stamp pad under my sleeve was probably not a good idea. All right, so I'm gonna take a little guess and put that right about there. Oh, okay. And I got some smushy stuff there, so I should find my chamois. Everything's kind of a mess from last night because I just sort of threw things all over the place last night during that drawing. All right, so I don't have the chamois, but I happen to have an antibacterial wipe because I was still wiping my hands because I didn't have time to wash them after my shopping trip. Okay, that works. So now I can put this on. Or maybe I shouldn't quite yet. I also did not find any stamp that looked like it was necessarily intended to fill in the centers, which a lot of them have. And I don't know if that really bothers me or not. I could certainly give it a little go over with one of the blends that I have that would be a coordinating color. All right, I'm just not going to worry about that. And I'm trying to remember some bling. Oh, and I don't know if you can see this because I can't see anything, but this is the only ribbon that I have left right now, or the only ribbon that I have. 3 are leftovers, and oh, that's a leftover from the January-June. These are leftover from last year's catalog, and these are all the new in-color ribbons. So I just sort of put them on a dowel, which I picked up at Kmart in the dollar spot the other day. I think it was, no, not Kmart. I don't even think Kmart is around anymore. Target, dollar spot. And I wasn't quite sure how I was going to use it for the time being. It's just sitting on one of my little 31 totes. All right, so we'll put one of these down there. Okay, maybe... leave that there, and maybe what I'll do is I'll put one underneath that's not popped up, and I don't think I want all of these leaves going in the same direction. That would be kind of boring. And since I said that one of these could get tucked under, what if I put one Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have put that one down yet. What if I put one kind of here? Okay, that worked. And if it didn't, you know, we would just cover it up with something. All right, and then I'll get my glue, but I put a dimensional on the back of it already, so we're gonna literally rip that off. Okay, and then put that down. Okay. So I know you can't hear it because I turned the music down low. Oh, look at that though. Someone's probably screaming right now. Look what you did. Yep, I did. I got a little bit of green on my flower. I don't think my antibacterial wipe, which is now almost dry, is going to get that off, is it? All right, we'll see what we can do about that, because I really can't stick a bow there. That would be dumb. It would be a dumb place for a bow. Basically, I think we're going to use the one method for fixing a mistake that I never told you about, and that is we're just going to pretend it's not there, and I'm not really going to give this card to anybody, and I'll fix it later. That's the other method. What do you think of that? Okay, so one more leaf. All right, and the reason I keep getting ink on this on the side is because this block is really too big. You really should use a block as close to the size of your stamps as possible. And the reason I don't have one of those available to me is because I already have all of the stamps for Saturday's Live on blocks, which seemed like a very organized thing to do, but when you don't have a zillion blocks, it's not the smartest idea. All right, so put that one there, and then the You Are Amazing. I wonder what would happen if we went across a piece of Designer Series paper and onto the white, if that would look cool, or if it might not stamp evenly, or if I just... All right, I think well, you know what? No, because I don't have to redo the whole card. I only have to take that flower off. I'm sitting here trying to make up reasons why I should do it that way. I was going to do it in black, but I really am liking this soft succulent color, and in all honesty, on the stamp and as a stamped image, it's coming across looking a little bit darker than I thought it would, which I kind of like. You know, it's not disappearing. It's not like getting lost. It definitely does stand out. Excuse me. So I like that, and that is a simple card. And it's not just a Stamps, Ink, and Paper card, technically, because I had to fussy cut, and I could have dyed, which certainly... Oh, look, I did it again. Now we got a little thing going on here with me getting stuff all over that particular thing. And really, that happened because I should be using a block this size, not a block that size. So learn from my mistakes. So now the thing is, I have the ribbon, and do I have a place here where I could really put ribbon or a bow? I could have done it before I put that down. Would it be too much? If you're saying anything, I have no clue. So this is very unusual. I don't know what the problem was. I thought it was just my phone, but now I'm questioning if it wasn't something other than just my phone. Yeah, no, I am still not here. That's very weird. Very, very weird. All right. So the other thing, I've seen a lot of demonstrators opening their ribbon on lives to show people their ribbon, and getting into this ribbon with the little shrink wrap that they put around it is sometimes quite a treat. So I decided I didn't want to subject me or you to that. So I've opened all my ribbon, and I found these pins at Walmart in the sewing department. Unfortunately, I threw away the wrapper, but if you're a sewer, you'll know what they are. They're short. They're not the usual size of pins, and I forgot what they said they were for. I bet Cheryl knows. Cheryl, if you know, tell us, and I'll have to look later. But I like that idea because it really keeps them in place. And in the past, I've done things like using tape, which isn't great, and I've used rubber bands. Today I threw out, like, I don't know how many rubber bands that I think were like as old as my children, and they had gotten hard and yucky, and so I decided rubber bands wasn't great either. I don't know if I'm going to want a bow here or not, but I'm going to give it a try, and I cut off more than I normally do because I hate to waste, but I don't do well with bows, and so if I give myself a little more room, then I definitely do better. Still not great, and I tend to like a smaller bow than some big old floppy thing that looks like it should be on a package, not on a card. That's just my own bow rule, I guess. All right, I could play with that all day and still not be thrilled. Obviously, I need to cut some of that off. It's a, it's a light color. I just don't know if it's necessary. Just don't know if it's necessary. But, I think I'm going to put it on there anyway because it's pretty. Why not? Yeah, so when you're cutting off like a total of 3 inches of ribbon just to get a bow that looks the way you want it to look, that always worries me. My father was a survivor of the Depression, and the man would fix anything rather than throw it out, almost to the point of crazy, but the good news was that he literally was good at fixing things. I'm not always so good. Okay, so there you have it. Very, very simple card, and I need to put a liner in there, and I need to do some stamping in there. So let's see. I can do that right now as well, I think, because I think that I probably won't do a second card today, because I have no idea how long we've been here. I just don't know any of that stuff because I can't see a darn thing. I hope I get this figured out by Saturday. That's all I can say. All right, so I'm going to make my inside a little bit smaller than a typical front card layer. And I do that sometimes, so I'm going to make it 4 by 5 1/4 for a couple of reasons. If I've used a pretty color for my card base, then I hate to cover the whole thing up with white, so that's one reason. The other reason is that sometimes it's difficult to decide what to write inside a card or to come up with a lot to write. And so if you leave a little bit less room to write in, it turns out a little bit easier for you. So now I can show you anyway what I was talking about with these stamps. So my first thought was to stamp the one that's kind of the outliney portion first. And then, well, I'll do a whole one so you can see. And then come in with the kind of watercolory one. And I'm generally pretty good at this. So I look for something that looks really obvious, like that little bumpity bump thing that kind of looks like a crooked heart. And then I go to the other one and I look for something that looks similar. And that looks similar to me. So I went in to try to line that up, and it just wasn't right at all. So I thought, okay, that must not be the one. So then I looked for something else kind of similar, and I thought maybe this was it. And I turned it around, and when I got that lined up, not everything else was lined up. But again, I'm telling myself, listen to what you tell the people watching you. This is a watercolor type effect. It's not supposed to be perfect. So stamp that down, and actually that's not bad. I'm still not convinced that it is the way it was intended to be. I'm also not convinced that there was a way it was intended to be, if that makes sense. Like maybe it just wasn't intended to line up at all, in which case it should have just come with a note saying, give it up, Roberta, it doesn't line up, it was meant that way, relax. Because without that, I was trying really hard. And now, of course, I stamped off that the part that had that thing that I think made it line up the best. Oh, I tell you. All right, so I'm really just not going to worry about it now. I'm just not. Well, maybe just a little. Yep, this is how you make yourself crazy. I'm stamping. I'm just stamping now, and I don't care. Okay, so you see with this one, there's more white showing, and honestly, I don't think it matters. I truly don't. And no, I'm not going to rip that out and redo it later, because that I'm really okay with. The things I tend to redo are the things that I find myself looking at them again and again, and that's how I know that I'm not going to let it go. All right, because I do not want to ruin this, I am going to take this little leafy stamp and put it on an appropriate size block. And now, of course, I have green ink all over my hands. Okay, I tell you. I think I started to tell you something too a minute ago about the music I was listening to. So every once in a while I'm just listening to Pandora, like random Pandora, like I haven't asked for any particular type of music or person, and something comes on and I'm like, what is that? I kind of like that, but I've never heard of it before, or don't know who the person or people are. And so last couple of weeks ago, something popped up, and I asked Google, who was playing Pandora for me, if she could tell me what I was listening to. And she said it was something called Iron and Wine. So I looked them up, and it's actually he has backup, he has a band, but it's really like one person, and he has a name which I have forgotten, and he used to go by his name and then recently changed to Iron and Wine. Some of his songs are a little interesting, like there's one about what happens when you die and the wolves eating your body, and yeah, that one's a little weird, but there's basically just something about the rhythm of the music that I like. And he has a YouTube video out where he has, what do you call them? Oh, the Spanish dancers who usually use the castanets, and anyway, he has those dancers, flamenco dancers, I think it is, and it's a very unusual video, kind of strange, but I'm finding myself just really drawn to his music. So Iron and Wine, you'll have to check it out if you want, but I've been listening to it. I find it kind of relaxing. I'm always looking for things that are relaxing. All right. All right, so there is our inside. And if we wanted to make a true SIP card with this paper, then we really could just do some stamping, and this is larger. I think that's like a quarter of a sheet there, so it's certainly larger than your typical, larger than your typical card front, but that's fine. So again, you could almost do like your own DIY DSP thing. And you know what else? I think that it might be possible to do a thing where you use these two stamps separately. I was thinking about that the other day and wondering how that would look. Of course, I've got all those wild colors underneath here. I think I've got some Magenta Madness, and I think I see some Poppy Parade, and who knows what else. But I think you could get away with that, using them separately. So that almost looks like two different flowers, and make a background out of that, and then cover that possibly with another piece of this, so that you're really only seeing bits and bobs of it. And then maybe just put a simple sentiment on across the front. So I'm going to keep bringing up the SIP thing only because I do hear a lot from people that they have friends that won't get together and craft with them because they don't think they can. And so I'm kind of on a mission to prove to people that they can. As a special education teacher for years, I heard students telling me that they couldn't do things, and very often, sadly, that was because other people told them that they couldn't do things. And I believe that you get from people what you expect from people, and people get from themselves what they expect from themselves. So if we can convince some of these folks that they really can do something like this, and if it's a hobby that they would enjoy, obviously, not if they're going to hate it, then I think we should. I think we have kind of a duty to get them to try some things. I'm looking through my gems to see, and I don't have anything big enough to go in the middle there and really just do it justice. So I'm going to have to think about what I want to do with the center there. All right, so I thank you very much for joining me today, and I'm sorry that I haven't seen you or your comments or anything. I'll respond to any comments if there are any once I get off and once this gets posted, which I sure hope it will. And thank you again, and I will see you Saturday at 4 o'clock, and come hell or high water, as my father used to say, I will be there at 4 o'clock. No grocery store, no talking to friends, none of that nonsense, okay? See you on Saturday at 4 o'clock. Bye-bye.